Hello, welcome to GridSyntax. In this episode, we're going to be setting up everything you'll need to build real websites, from installing Chrome and VS Code to configuring PHP and Git with tools like XAMPP and SourceTree. If you're just getting started with web development, this is a perfect place to begin. So let's dive right in and I'll guide you through the basics step by step. Okay, let's start off with Google Chrome. So all you need to do is head on over to google.com/Chrome. We'll head over here and this is where you download the installer. So you'll click on here, then you'll run the installer and just let Chrome do its thing. It's nothing fancy. So once it's installed, you can launch that from your start menu or your desktop, and it'll ask you to sign in. Now you can skip this for now unless you want to sync your extensions and bookmarks across all your devices. So I also like to use this in dark mode. And if you do too, quick way to get there is to head over to the three dots in the top right corner, head down to settings, over here to appearance, and then you'll see mode, and there'll be a drop down menu, light, dark, and device, and it'll just match your device's settings. And that's how you set dark mode. All right, so next we are going to install one of my favorite extensions, which is ColorZilla Chrome Extension. And you just head on over to the Chrome Web Store, and yours is going to say add to Chrome. And then that's all you have to do. Very easy, very simple. And it'll end up here in your Chrome's extensions menu. Now, if you want to pin it, just open up the extensions menu and then just hit pin. Now, we are going to head over to getbootstrap.com, and I'm going to quickly show you how to use this. So you want the page color picker active. And then you'll see at the top here, we have the RGB as well as the hexadecimal values for that color. Okay, so let's say we like this yellow. So we're just going to click that and it's actually copied to your clipboard. Now what you can do as well is go into your color picker panel, and as you can see you have your HSB values, RGB, hexadecimal value, and of course HSL. And you can play in here if you want and change the color slightly for hover effects and things of that nature. All right, now you could also head over to the CSS gradient generator. All right, and there are many things in here that you can do with different greens, and you can change the direction, everything, even the size of the banner, let's say. And down here, you have the CSS ready to go. All right, and that's just a quick overview of the CSS gradient generator. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to start our DevTools. These are very important, and we are going to be in here fairly often. So there are a couple of ways that I head into our DevTools. All you have to do is right-click and head down to Inspect. Or you can, on a Windows machine, you can hit Control-Shift and I. Or on a Mac, it's Command and Option and the letter I, and it'll open up our DevTools. Now, if I remember correctly, the DevTools come docked over here on the right-hand side. Now, I prefer mine on the bottom. However, all you have to do to change that is come over here to the three dots, and then you'll see your dock side. You can have it pop up in its own little window. You can have it over here on the right-hand side, pardon me, the left-hand side, the right-hand side. However, like I said before, I like mine docked to the bottom. Now, another thing that we are going to be using is the toggle device toolbar. All right, now if we click on that, you will have some presets up here for iPhones and Android phones and iPads and other tablets. However, I like to come over here and move it just like this, and I can see each and every breakpoint. All right, and then right up here you can see the screen size in real time. And I just prefer this. Okay, so we're just going to turn that off for now. And then, like me, I like to use this in dark mode. So to do that, you hit the cog over here, make sure you're under preferences, and then it's right here in your theme, auto, light, and dark. Well, for now, that is Chrome. And we are going to move on to the next piece of software that we are going to install, which is VS Code. So head on over to code.visualstudio.com. Okay, mine has detected that I am on a Windows machine, but it will detect whether or not you are on a Mac. So go ahead and download it, and once it's downloaded, run the installer and let it do its thing. You can accept all the default settings, but if you do see an option to add it to your system path, go ahead and check that. And once it's installed, you can launch it from your desktop or your start menu. Now, if I do remember correctly, once you start it for the first time on a fresh install, you will have your settings available up in a tab on here. However, if you don't, then you can hit Control and comma, and it will bring up the settings. Of course, that would be Command and comma for a Mac. So these are some of the settings that we are going to go through. The font size, while that is a personal preference, one that I do like is this one here, Files on Autosave. If it's not here, just search the settings for Autosave, and I prefer the on focus change. And so what that means is if we change windows or tabs up here at the top, it will just automatically save it for you. Now, the word wrap is another good one to have on. That way you don't have lines of code that go way off the screen and you have to scroll each and every time. Now, the tab size, I prefer to have 2 spaces. Now, some people prefer 4. It's all in your personal preference. And lastly, let's disable the preview tabs. This way, when you click on a file, it always opens in a new tab. So we're just going to search for preview, and it will be this guy right here, the Workbench Editor Enable Preview. Make sure that is unchecked. We do not want that. So if it is checked, what will happen is when you have all your files over here, like index.html and your CSS file, it will just open them up in the same tab. We don't want that. So just make sure that that is unchecked. Okay, so now that we're done with the settings, we're just going to close that tab, and now we're going to head on over to the extensions. And as you can see, I have quite a few installed. So these ones here, GitHub Copilot and GitHub Copilot Chat, those of course is the built-in AI that will definitely help out. So I would go ahead and install these. The next one is Auto Close Tag. That one is pretty self-explanatory. So let's say I open up a paragraph tag in HTML, it will automatically close it, which is nice because sometimes, believe it or not, you can forget to close it. The next one here is the auto rename tag, which I really enjoy. So let's say you have an H1 with a long heading and you want to change it to an H3 for whatever reason. Once you change that first H1 to H3, it will automatically change the name of the closing tag. Next down the list is ESLint. Now, this is a code quality tool for JavaScript. It checks your code for common errors, bad practices, and formatting issues, kind of like a spell checker, but for your code. I really enjoy this one. Next is HTML CSS support, and this will improve the connection between your HTML and CSS. It will give you smart autocomplete for class names and IDs from your linked style sheets, so you can catch typos, and it just speeds up workflow. The next one down is Live Server. I do believe that everybody should have this installed, and what that'll do is you can click on, as you can see, I still have the Go Live down here. Once you click on that, it will automatically open up a browser, and every time you save something, when you change your code or add to your code, it will automatically appear in the browser. Now the next one on the list here is Night Owl, and that's the theme. Now, themes, you can really jump down a rabbit hole. I just landed on Night Owl theme. Now, next is the Path IntelliSense. And what this does, it'll autocomplete file paths as you type them. So when you're linking to images, style sheets, or scripts, it helps you quickly find the correct file, and it reduces the chance of broken links. However, I do always suggest testing your links. That is pretty important. So next down the list is PHP Bug. And what this does, it lets you set breakpoints and step through your PHP code right here inside VS Code. It's very helpful for finding bugs and understanding how your code runs behind the scenes. We'll be using this in case we run into an issue with our PHP. And next for PHP is the IntelliFence. And what this does, it adds smart features to VS Code for working with PHP, like autocomplete, error detection, and function hints. It makes writing PHP faster, cleaner, and way less frustrating. Next on the list is Prettier. And Prettier is a code formatter that automatically cleans up your coding style, like spacing and indentation and quotes, so everything stays consistent, and it works in the background and saves you time from fixing it manually, and sometimes searching for that semicolon for who knows how long. So next, we don't have to worry about our Python stuff here, but we do want to get into our SQL tools. What this one will do, it's a database management extension that lets you connect to and query databases right from inside VS Code. It's like having a mini database client built into the editor. And with SQL tools, which is MySQL, MariaDB, TIDB driver, this extension adds support for connecting to MySQL and MariaDB and TIDB databases through SQL tools. Once it's installed, you can connect, run queries, and explore your tables fairly easily. All right, and next is our SQL tools, which is PostgreSQL, as well as the Cockroach driver. And this driver adds support to your SQL tools. Lets you run queries, browse your database, and manage data right inside VS Code. Now, lastly is to-do highlights. Sometimes I use these, most of the time I don't. However, it's also good to have. So it highlights your comments and makes them pop, and it highlights keywords like to do and fix me in bright colors, so you can easily spot tasks and reminders in your code. Well, okay, that ends it for VS Code for now, and we are going to move on to another piece of software. And it is called XAMPP. It's what we'll use to run PHP and MySQL locally on our machine. It turns your computer into like a mini web server, so you can test dynamic websites without needing to upload anything to the internet and test it there. There are other programs out there that do something similar, like MAMP and WAMP and Laragon and Local by Flywheel, but I prefer XAMPP. It's simple to use, it's flexible, and it works across many different platforms. So let's head over to ApacheFriends.org, and then we'll download. Now, download, of course, for your machine, which is Windows, Linux, or Mac. And then you don't need to change much during the installation, but just make sure that Apache and MySQL are selected, because that's all we'll need for our PHP and database development. I'm not going to reinstall it now, but this is exactly what the setup will look like. So once it's installed, you want to go to the drive where you saved it. In my case, of course, it's my C drive, and then we're going to look for our XAMPP folder. Here, let me make this. There we go. We want to look for our XAMPP folder. So double click there and scroll all the way down until you find your XAMPP control. Now this, we're just going to want to keep a close eye on this. So I just select it and then drag and drop it into your taskbar. Clearly I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that again. So I'm going to close that, and then we're going to open up our XAMPP control panel, and this is what yours could possibly look like. It's looked like this for quite a while now. Now I already have Apache and MySQL running. I've already made the changes that we're just about to do, so I don't need to stop these. I don't think yours is going to be running right off the hop either. However, if they are, just stop them one at a time. Now, I like having my htdocs folder on my desktop. It's just for easy access. If you'd like to do that too, this is how you do it. Now, mine's already moved, so in the same XAMPP folder, you'll find your htdocs folder. Just cut it and then paste it onto your desktop. Okay, now what we're going to do is we need to change a couple of lines of code so the local server can find your htdocs. So in the XAMPP folder here, you want to find the Apache folder. Let's go into the Apache folder, and then we need to go into the configure folder. Okay, so open that up, and then we want to find this file right here, which is httpd, and then it might be .conf. Okay, so you want to open up that. Mine's going to open up in VS Code, and oh, it's already way down here on line 252. Now, let's say, of course, when you open yours is going to be on line 1 in the file, so you can just hit Control or Command F, and then type in here document root, which is one word, and then it'll search for it. And here it is. This is what we need. Okay. Now, wherever you moved your htdocs folder, we need to change these 2 lines of code. So as you can see, mine is on the C drive in the users. And then, of course, we have, that is my username, which is GridS. And then mine is on the desktop. And of course, there is the htdocs. Now for Mac, and all you have to do is take away the drive letter, keep the forward slashes, and that will work for a Mac. Okay, so make sure you save this file, and then we're going to close it. And then we are going to go back and open up our control panel. Now, I've run into issues if I've run Apache and then quickly run MySQL. So just for the sake of argument, lack of a better word, just start your Apache, wait till everything is running properly, and then start your MySQL. Now, there are a couple of changes that we're going to make into VS Code. Okay, so we're just going to minimize that, keep it running. So, and again, we are going to go back into our settings, which of course is control comma or command comma. And then we are going to look for a line called PHP validate, and we should see it here. Here it is here. And in here, we see edit in the settings.json or JSON file. We're going to open that up, and here is the line of code that we're looking for right here. All right, php.validate.executable path. Make sure you get, of course, the capital letter here, the camel case. And then this is where my XAMPP folder is, and it needs to find the PHP executable file. So if you're on a Windows machine, This exact line of code will make it run properly. And if you're on a Mac, this is the line of code right here to make your PHP executable file run as well. So just make sure that you save this file again, and then we're going to close it all down, and we're going to move on to our last piece of software. And it's called SourceTree. Let's go back to Chrome, and we are going to Google SourceTree download. Okay. And here's the link at SourceTreeApp.com. So you're just going to click on the download button, agree to the license, and the installer will begin downloading. I use this for version control. It's a graphical user interface, or GUI for short. So instead of using Git from the terminal, we get a visual layout that makes the whole process a lot more intuitive. And in this video, we're just going to download, install, and launch SourceTree. In the next video, when we push our first project to GitHub, I'll show you how we'll be using it in this series. So once it's downloaded, run the installer, and you may be prompted to log in with an Atlassian or Bitbucket account. Don't worry, you can create one for free, and I rarely get any emails from them. Even though we're using GitHub, SourceTree is made by Atlassian, and they require a Bitbucket login just to access the software. We won't be using Bitbucket at all. So as you go through the setup, the default options are totally fine to accept. Now, at some point, you may be asked if you want to install Git and or Mercurial. You can install both if you want, but for this series, we're only going to be using Git. Okay, so once it's downloaded and installed, we're going to launch SourceTree. Okay, so, and this is what it looks like at this point in time. Yours could look a little bit different, but again, this has been looking like this for a little while now. We're not going to go into any detail right now because we're going to create the beginning of our file structure in the next video, and that's when this will come in very handy. Well, all right, that is it for now. If you don't already have a GitHub account, now's the perfect time to sign up for one. It's a great way to store, backup, and share your code, and it's free. In the next video, we'll explore how to check if your domain name and social media handles are available and how to secure them. Then we'll create a file structure in VS Code for the website we are going to build. This is where we will use SourceTree and push our initial commit to a GitHub repository. We might even get to write our first lines of code. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.